All right, we're live. Say hello, Julian.
Hello, I'm Julian Johnston.
Julian, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. My name is Alex Vidal. I am president of Related ISG International Realty, and today you are watching, and I'm also host of the show, you are watching The Closer Club, episode number 48. And if there's ever a closer in our business, it's this guy to my left, Julian Johnston. Just in Miami Beach alone, 49 closings with over 133 million in sales. Just in 2018. You killed it, man.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. And by the way, if you're able to hang with us for a little bit after the interview, we're in a beautiful $8 million home on Prairie Avenue in Miami Beach. Love to show it to you. It's brand new construction, spectacular. Here we go. We have 9 questions. A couple, caveats to some of these. Let's rock.
Far away.
Julian, by the MLS ranked number 1 broker in Miami Beach with 133 million in closed sales in 2018 alone. Tell us a little bit about your path to becoming number 1.
So I have a business degree in property, and I grew up in Australia, and I moved to Miami in 1999 and fell in love with this place. And I started real estate in about 2001. And I just started out at the bottom. I started as an assistant, and I think once you get your license, you really don't know what you're doing still. Sure. But I started at Fortune Realty, and I worked there for about 7 years, and I worked my way up to being a partner with someone else, and then they were partnered with Sotheby's for a while, so I had that experience of being with a more corporate company. And then after the crash, there was a lot of flux in the industry. Sure. But I stayed with real estate, even in the slow times, because that's when you can really build a really good base. And when the market turned, I was well positioned to open my own company because there weren't so many nationals at the time. Yeah. And then really just focused on, I may not be number 1 in Dade County all the time, but in Miami Beach, I'm very focused. I don't take listings in Coral Gables so much or Golden Beach. I'm just very focused on the beach.
Right. Now, out of curiosity, it's funny, I started off as an assistant too. I'm 40. When I was 19, I started off to the assistant to Mike Pappas, who owns Kaiser Real Estate. Okay. What brought you from Australia here?
Australians tend to do a sabbatical before after college. We take 6 months or a year off. Okay. And I had saved $10,000, and that lasted me an entire year in Europe. Wow. That was before the euro came in. It got expensive. And I grew up in a very warm climate in Australia, and I'm used to being close to the ocean, and I love Europe, but I fell in love with Miami Beach because it's quite European. At the same time, the business climate is amazing. You can easily travel to South America and back to Europe. So I was traveling all the time. Just fell in love with Miami. There
you go. Now, talk to us, because you talked about maintaining. You've been really consistent at the top of the game, whether number 1, number 2, but you're always at the top, right? You just have in 2018, you're number 1. Talk to us a little bit about how you've been able to manage maintaining your position at the top, especially now. We talked about back then, there weren't a lot of corporate companies. There's a lot of new money in terms of brokerages coming into South Florida. It's become competitive, it's become techy, it's become crowded. How have you managed to maintain at the top, number 1? And number 2, how do you see technology playing a role, particularly in the higher end homes?
I started when the internet was just launching, so to speak, and becoming more prominent. And the internet really disintermediated brokerage companies. They used to be much more stronger because they used to do a lot more for the agents. You do a contract, bring it in, and they would do all the paperwork. That was back then when we used to fax things. And then, the market really evolved, and real estate agents had to then brand themselves. So I started out with my own website, which, they used to start at $10,000, and now they're like $40,000 or $50,000. And I used to spend $60,000 to $80,000 a year at SEO. But then you've got these, like Purple Bricks didn't survive, but Zillow and these big companies, they're throwing $20 to $30 million a year at SEO. You can't really compete with them on a large scale. So I've always tried to become like a niche. So my website, I might do well for Miami Beach waterfront homes, like longer keywords that are more niche targeted. So I've tried to stay in a niche by focusing on waterfront homes and single family homes. I've sold a lot of condos, and I sold the penthouse at the Continuum. So I have a strong background in condos as well. But condos are a little bit more of a commodity. They're a little bit easier to sell. There's, I think realtors can really stand out when they add a lot of expertise. So when they are selling a house, there's so many nuances on the market, like even on Venetians facing east, west, north or south, the price per square foot just for land, as an example, can vary up to like 50 or 60%, depending on which way it's facing. So, you bring a lot of market knowledge. Technology, I think, is still changing because websites are becoming less important because clients understand that unless you rank coming up on the first page, second, third or fourth, it doesn't really matter how good your website is because no one's really going to see it now. There's a lot of consolidation in technology. So I then diverted my money from SEO. I still do some, but I started to focus on spending money on Zillow and Realtor.com and the ROI used to be very good. It's diminished quite a bit in the last 12 months as the market has tended to slow a bit. So, I just adjusted my marketing budget that way.
Do you think it's diminished? So it seems, well, to answer the question, really, it seems like you found a niche, you know it probably better than most anybody out there, and really that's how you're able to separate yourself and maintain yourself at the top. But when it comes to Zillow and all that, would you say it's diminished because of the market per se, or more maybe because there's other people trying to buy those same Zillow leads and all that?
I think it's a little bit, anyone can bid on Zillow leads unless they have a certain area that's completely bought out, which has happened in Brickell and Key Biscayne before. And I follow the different zip codes and markets to see what's going on. And I had a very good relationship with a couple of reps at Zillow so I could learn what was going on. But I think as the market slows, so do the quality of the leads and so do the number of leads. And I've seen, just as Zillow as an example, the number of leads that you're paying per month drop off, and the quality of those leads coming through is lower. And even the price per square foot, even the price of the units they're looking at have
dropped off. Interesting, and we're going to talk about the market in a little bit. Now, what was it like? You got your license back in 2001, so we're coming up on 18 years. What was it like when you first got your license, and what were the top 3 things? Because when I kind of put hey, what would you ask Julian? I want to know how you broke into the high end, right?
Yeah.
So what was it like when you first got your license? Because I'm sure it wasn't selling multi-million-dollar homes. And if you were to pinpoint 3 things you did to get to that level, what were they?
So when I first got my license, as I said before, I got a job as an assistant to a top producer. So, of course, I want to learn. I was in the same position many people are now starting out. I want to learn, how do you get to be a top producer? And so I started as an assistant, and it's just, there's no replacing time. I used to put in 70, 80 hours a week. I would do open houses on Saturdays and Sundays, and sometimes no one comes through. And it can be disheartening at times, but consistently putting in time will pay results. And so over time, I picked up a couple of buyers just through relationships. Like, I picked up a buyer looking for $1 million home. At the time, on Venetians, the most expensive home was like 1.4, 1.5. Right. So it was pretty significant. And so I learned the market by going around and seeing all the open houses and taking my buyer around and learning the market. And then I started doing a lot of direct mail so that people became more familiar with me, the owners. And then an owner called me one day and said, I got you a direct mail piece. And I was doing more non-typical direct mail, like funny things or humorous things, trying to catch people's attention, because I think direct mail there's so much of it. To stand out is very hard. And so anyway, I met the owner. He was a dentist, and so when we struck up a friendship over time, and I was prospecting, and if I had a buyer, I'd bring him past the home. It was like an off-market deal, and that's where I first learned that there's probably 10% of the market or 5% at any one time is off-market. But off-markets also then become eventual listings. Sure. And so that's one of the areas of the business I focused on as well. People that are thinking about selling, or whether it's 6 months or 12 months away, and helping them prepare their home, or just educating them on the market, when would be a good time to list. And so I eventually listed this home for 1.4, and it was the first one I sold for 1.2, but I had the house open quite frequently. I met the neighbors in the area. So I think the 3 things I did was I focused on a particular geographic area, and I was focused on single family. It just so happened that the first area I focused on was Venetians, which I came to dominate later on, but I focused on it so much. So, and I think if you've given any one area, where it's south of 5th or Belle Isle, you focus on the area and you consistently do it, you could expect it will take 2 to 4 years to really see results.
That's right. Easy.
That's what it is. It's time. It's 3 to 4 years. So I focused on an area, focused on single family home, and I just put in the time. And after about 2004, 2005, so I've been in the market 3 or 4 years, and the market started to really take off. And the deals were happening you'd sell something 1 week for 1.3 million, and it'd sell 2 weeks later for 1.6. It was just such a
good time.
Yeah, great market.
It's funny you say that, but there are common denominators among the super successful. It was great. It's Monday morning. I walked in at 10:15, and here Julian is showing the property to a buyer with Nelson Gonzalez, 2 of the top brokers in Miami Beach. I'm like, oh, this is great. And it's a similar thing, you know, open houses, putting in the time, working as an assistant. You know, I think most realtors just want to get there and not put in the legwork. But if you look at the top brokers around, they're all putting in the legwork like you did and the other top brokers. Now, one of my I have two favorite questions. This is one of them. You sell Miami to some of the wealthiest people. Now, in the beginning, this is episode number 48. You'd ask all the big developers and all that in the beginning, and I really wouldn't try to get them to divert off get other answers. And what I mean by that is everybody tells you the climate and the taxes, right? You come down, there's no state income tax. You come down, the weather is amazing all year round. And that was the common denominator. I said, all right, with Nelson, I started breaking it out, and with Gil Desert too. I said, all right, forget taxes, forget weather. What are other reasons why people are coming down to Miami, the ultra rich, to buy these properties?
I think because Miami's becoming more of a Latin America hub as well. I mean, we already see a large contingent of Brazilians, and like, you know, there's both a flight of capital for their diversity of their, but also safety. You know, I've been to Brazil and some of those other.
My wife is Brazilian.
Yeah, I mean, and I feel safe in Brazil, but in certain areas, like, you know, I understand, especially if you're wealthy, you can get targeted. So they're coming here for safety and to relax and diversify their investment portfolio. I think that a lot of the major companies I'm seeing in New York and LA also, they want to, LA companies, they want a hub. It has been New York before, but I think price-wise, they're starting to find the labor market here is developed enough and mature enough that they're finding the labor now, and they're opening, you know, a lot of the corporate law offices are opening sister offices here. So it's both a base for LA, New York, Europe, and Central America, Central and South America. So it's such a centrally located place, and I think that the infrastructure is pretty developed. That I think that they think that Miami's going to mature in the next few years. Is a very I went to a developer symposium like about 6 months ago, and they called it Singapore 20 years ago.
Interesting.
And they mapped out Miami River, and there's like 28 high rises coming, and all the development through Edgewater. And I think that's going to really fulfill itself in probably in the next 10 to 15 years.
And these companies are smart enough to get in now before everything really blows up.
They're all land banking now. They're all buying the land, just sitting on the land, because it's going to grow phenomenally.
That's right. Now, I can't believe we said this, but it's April 8th. We're already done with the first quarter of the year.
First quarter's gone.
Gone in a blink of an eye. So if you were to look at the first quarter of this year, how was the luxury market, and what can you expect for the rest of 2019?
The luxury market, I mean, if we break it out into slight segments, the luxury market being over $1 million, I'd say the $1 million to 20, 1 to 10 or $15 million market has been slow but steady. The volume of sales has obviously been fairly slow, so it's kind of hard to tell where the market's going when they're just selling so slowly. At the same time, I'm not seeing a lot of more inventory come on the market. It's just the inventory that's there is just selling kind of slowly. The market had a bit of a kick in December, January, and just into the start of the first quarter, where 4 or 5 $20 million homes sold. I sold one in December for 21 million, and a couple more sold for 26, 28. And I know the owners, and they had been getting offers that were in the low 20s, and finally people stepped up and saw the market was doing well, and the stock market recovered from the hiccup it had in October, and they had more confidence about putting down, you know, buying a second or third home, because those $20, $30 million homes are really second or third homes.
That's crazy.
That's something they want, not something they need. Yeah. So that buoyed the market a bit. People sitting to think it was going to do well, but it's in the first quarter, it's just been slow but steady. Okay.
So first quarter, below $1 million, above 10 million seemed to do really well, and the 1 to 10 million were kind of just slowly
charting. I sold one on Meridian for $6 million, which, you know, I had a client try to buy it before, and the seller became a bit more negotiable. So things started to ease up on the seller side, because they started to realize it was not really a buyer market, not really a seller market. It was kind of in the middle, and so we saw some transactions, and I think that that's going to be the course this year. I think the market's I think it's strong enough, and there's, you know, a lot of people have a very low basis for being in the properties that I don't think we're going to see a lot of price reduction. I think the market's going to stay fairly stable this year, and I think interest rates have leveled off, and they may take a cut. So I think the market's going to do slow but steady this year.
Now, this is my second favorite question. I love asking. You talked about Miami being Singapore 20 years ago. If you were to give Miami an age, if Miami was a human being and you were to give it an age, what age would you give it?
30 years old.
30 years old.
I'd say the 80s, the boom, with all the buildings go up in Brickell, was kind of their teenage years. You know, early years in the 50s when they started to get developed. I'd say we're in our 30s now. Miami's like a human being. You get educated in your 20s, you do work experience in your 30s, you make money in your 40s. I think now Miami's going to grow in the next few years, 10 to 15 years in their 30s. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's still a very young city.
Yes.
Infrastructure can still handle a number of people. You know, traffic is starting to be a bit of a concern, but it's not like LA yet. But you know, it's a very comfortable city to live in. It's
amazing.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
The weather's amazing. The people are cool. It's very diversified.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, what did you have? You had the U.S. Open or the Miami Open going on, while at the same time you had a Winter Music Conference and Ultra. It's my wife looked at everything and said, "This is the city that wants to be forever young."
Yeah.
But just so you know, compared to and I asked Mayor Francis Suarez, I asked Nelson, I asked Dora, I asked Craig, I asked all the developers, and they all said late 20s, early 30s. Alicia Severa, so you're right there. Now, you work with some extremely wealthy people, and usually working with extremely wealthy people comes with some crazy stories. What's one crazy story that stands out?
I had one client that was a bit of a germaphobe and a lightphobe at the same time. So like whenever we went to show a house, you know, I just had to tell the agents beforehand, don't shake his hand because he's like shaking hands. And
Interesting.
And the second floor of the house had to be completely blacked out. So he wanted blackout blinds to make sure there was no light coming in the hallways because he had a sensitivity to light that he couldn't sleep. You know, point in fact that I think he went, even though it was pretty well blacked out, I think he spent another $35,000 just doing additional shades in the master, just to completely black it out and soundproof it.
Wow, that's crazy.
Crazy.
That's a good one. All right, lightning round, very short answers, one word or one sentence answers. Best ROI for leads?
Open houses.
Open houses. Favorite social media platform? Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube?
Right now, Instagram.
There you go. One daily practice every agent should be doing to change their business for the better?
Just calling clients, speaking to them every morning, just finding out what they're doing.
Got it. This is a database.
Yeah.
Got it. How much of your income do you put back into marketing?
At least 20 to 25%.
Oh, that's high. Good for you. Number one prospecting tool?
Referrals.
Referrals.
Yeah.
All right. Actually, so I'm gonna skip a question and come back. So, what % of your business is referrals and past clients?
At least 20%.
Okay.
At least 20, 25%.
What do you do with commercial real estate? Do you handle it or refer it out?
I do a very little bit.
Very little bit.
Yeah.
So what do you do when a client? And I got a good buddy of mine, Stefano, who's asking me. So you got to ask him, what does he do with commercial real estate?
So my background in business, my degree had commercial background. So when I first moved here, I was actually in 2001 I'd sell strip malls and strip centers because I understand all the cap rates. And I should say, any commercial leads I refer out. So I don't do commercial. But I was sitting at lunch last year and someone said, I'm looking for a hotel. And then at dinner that night, someone said, I'm selling a hotel. I put them together and I sold an $18 million hotel.
Just like that.
Without referring it out. It's very random.
Well, the key to that story is listening to what you're doing. You were with one client talking to them over lunch, the other one you're talking over dinner. Yeah. You're always in front of your clients. Yeah. Something we'd be surprised to know about you.
I worked as a line cook for a while when I was living in Europe, you know. So,
how old were you then?
I was 24.
How old are you now, by the way?
I'm 45.
45, cool. All right, last question. I ask this to every guest. Book, podcast, or TED Talk recommendation for the audience?
I am a big into autobiographies. I like real life. I think you learn from that. I mean, I've read a lot of self-help and self-awareness books, and I think they are very good, but I think you pick up a good autobiography, you learn some from someone else's life.
There you go. Julian, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Now, as promised, I'm going to pick up the camera, tour you around, at least on the first floor, and if we want, we can go to the second floor. What can you, before we take them around, tell them about the house a little bit.
Okay, it was developed by Massive Construction. Okay. Charles Levy is the architect. A lot of the furniture is by Animus Dominus. Okay. There's a lot of Italian cabinetry. It's facing west. We're in mid-beach. And this market, we've seen a lot of these $12 to $20 million homes on the water, new construction, because there's definitely because of the FEMA flood regulations changing, because of construction techniques like 10 to 12 foot the glass doors coming in, you can't renovate the older homes anymore. Plus, the older homes tended to be winter residences with, small bedrooms, small bathrooms, and people want modern floor plans now. They want like ensuite closets, ensuite bathrooms, open floor plans. So we're seeing less and less people renovate because if they renovate, they just don't get the money back on the return. Right. So we're seeing a lot of new construction, and a lot of that new construction through 2002 through 2012 was all on open bay water. And then and that price point tended to be 12 to 20 starting. And then you're seeing new construction off the water because there's people that, affordability. You're seeing new construction houses start at 2.5, 3 million, not on the water. And then this house in this area kind of led the way where we're seeing new construction but on canal with fixed bridge. So I just sold a house on Sunset 3 at $1,000 a square foot new construction. But now I sold another one on the water on Venetians for $2,400. So somewhere between 1,000 and 2,400. This house is actually going to set the market because we're around $1,200 a square foot.
Okay.
It would have been higher, but our overall size of the house is a little bit bigger because we're on the water. Houses off the water tend to be a little bit smaller. But I think it's priced really well. We've had a lot of interest. It's only been on the market about 3 or 4 months. The house comes fully furnished, all the blinds and drapery done. It's turnkey.
And the furniture is beautiful. All right, so I'm going to go around.
Yep.
And here we go.
I'll give you a tour.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Want to walk outside first?
Sure, let's do it. All right, so kind of give you guys an idea. We did this, pardon all the furniture moving around, but to kind of give you guys an idea, the front door is right there as they walk out. And then when you walk in, you have your living room.
Telescopic doors.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool. Go ahead, show that.
Indoor, outdoor living.
So the doors go all the way up, open the area completely. That's also a new kind of type of design too.
Yeah, and you can't retrofit and renovate the older homes because of all the pillars. So
That's right. It is beautiful area. What I love most is this outdoor kitchen. It's amazing. So there we go. Come back around. So this will kind of give you an idea. The doors open completely, so it opens up the whole house. Same on this side. You have the kitchen over there. Dining area, pardon the mess with the chairs and the bag and everything. That's all my equipment. You have one living room, another living room here. And then you got the dining room.
Breakfast chairs.
Yep. And then the master suite is really nice. You got an outdoor shower.
Outdoor shower.
Coming off the pool, walk around the side of the house, outdoor shower right there.
And there's a half bathroom that acts as a cabana bathroom, indoor, outdoor. So the layout of the house is 4 bedrooms upstairs and then 2 bedrooms downstairs.
Got it.
All very good sized rooms.
Really nice.
AC.
And the finishes are amazing, by the way.
No, it's beautiful.
Something as simple as like the linear AC vents at the top. It just shows the attention to detail.
And Creon came out with this new line of lighting. It's called A-Pure.
Okay.
British lighting, they're milled in Germany.
Those right
So
there?
the recessed lighting is spectacular.
Oh, over there. Got it. All right, let's show you around. Let's head our way up the stairs. Hopefully I don't hit the tripod on the stairs.
And the new LED bulbs that they have coming out, this brand is called Sora. They're rated for 25 years. A house this size might typically run with regular lights about, we did an electricity study, normally $2,700 a year in electricity, whereas these light bulbs run about $460.
Wow.
So the cost savings are significant.
So we are walking into one of the master suites. It's got its own little landing, living room area. Walk around, there's the camera. What's up, guys? Master bedroom.
West facing sunsets.
Its own balcony overlooking the pool right there. And then this bathroom is spectacular. I'll give you guys an idea. Julian, how can they reach you? What's your phone number?
305-502-3985.
And what's your website?
www.miawaterfront.com.
miawaterfront.com. If you guys want more information on this property, look at this closet. Oh man, the closet keeps going around. I didn't see this when I walked before. I love the artwork, by the way.
Midnight kitchen or coffee bar, fridges.
This is we're still in the master suite, guys.
Yeah, it's a big master suite. Whoever's writing this check is really going to enjoy the house.
Yeah, this is great. I think I'm going to end it right here on this artwork. This is beautiful. Julian, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you.